Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Andrew Jant of the band Trap Kit. We are an indie folk duo based out of the northern plains of the United States of America. And today, the purpose of this video is to talk not about us, not about our music, but more so about Miss Taylor Swift and her semi-recent accomplishments and some other fantastic things that she's been up to. So let's get started. I have been writing songs since I was 19, so I've got her beat by a couple years. But the difference between her songwriting and my songwriting was that during her songwriting, she was actively doing this all the time, whereas I was more just partying and playing music on the side. So that's got me beat for almost up until about the last 10 years. So she's got me beat by about 7 years in songwriting. Our band has, I believe, over just right at like 20 or 21 releases on Spotify and 3.5 million streams, whereas she's in so many billions now that it's harder to keep track. By the time we would do this video, it would be outdated anyway. So I think she's going to be number one probably within the next month or so on Spotify, and that's global, and that's fantastic. So good for her. But I wanted to talk today about kind of what got me about her. So as a songwriter, I have been aware of Taylor Swift for so many years. She's always kind of been like a thorn in my side, like yeah, she's there, but I never paid much attention to it. And the purpose of this video is to tell you, in my opinion, why it's time to start paying attention, if you're not already, and I'm sure most of you that are watching this already are. So I'm going to start with an album that came out in 2020. I believe this was her second quarantine album. This is called Folklore. I just spent some time recently in California. I was out there, I had some downtime, and I turned on the TV, and one of the things that popped up was Taylor Swift live sessions. And I was like, that'd be interesting to see because, you know, she's accused of all these things, auto-tune, all this other stuff. I was like, well, if I could see it live, then I could like make an actual distinction for myself. And so that was called the Long Pond Studio Sessions in upstate New York. She had, I believe his name is Aaron Dressner. He's a phenomenal musician, one of my favorites from the band The National, and has been for about 10 or 12 years. I've seen them on occasion, and they're just phenomenal, so you should check them out if you aren't familiar with them already. And they've also collaborated with Taylor as well. What they did is they had never completely played this album before. Everything was done virtually due to the pandemic. And they went ahead and played it for Disney with their cameras and everything like that, just like once through. And it was absolutely fantastic. So I was like, I don't really know what to think. And I sat down, and the opening music was good. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm vibing with this like opening few chords. Then she said, I'm doing good. I'm on that new shit. Then saying yes instead of no. And I was like, wow, that's like a hell of a way to start an album off, and I absolutely love that line. And out of all of the lines in that album, that one has stuck with me maybe the most out of everything. So then the second song comes on, and it's called Cardigan. And I was like, okay, what's this about? You know, it's about being basically somebody's sweater underneath the bed. And so when I first heard that song, I was like, oh, it's good, but I'll just keep listening and keep going on in the show. And then the third song that came on was The Last Great American Dynasty. Same opinion. Good song. Move on. And then the fourth song had Justin Vernon from Bon Iver was featured on that. And he has long been, I've said this a million times, he's long been my single point of contact for why I do all of this music stuff. When I heard For Emma forever ago around 2009, 2010, it changed me, and I picked up an acoustic guitar. As a former drummer, I picked up an acoustic guitar for the first time and really sat down and started to learn some of those songs. And then I went to my first open mics, and that's led me to 500 shows later, from Los Angeles to New York, North Dakota to Texas. And so it's been an absolutely phenomenal journey from my perspective as a songwriter. Mostly inspired by Justin Vernon. So I was quite surprised to find him on this Taylor Swift album. I was like, well, if he believes in her, you know, there's something to be said about that too. So overall, that entire Long Pond studio session thing was just phenomenal, and I don't have the attention span to sit and watch the full thing, but in one sitting, that is. But it was just great. And then I went back and I started listening to the album of that Folklore album, and I put it on. I was really busy at that time. I didn't have access to my phone all the time. And when I would put it on, I would put those 3 songs on, the first 3. The first 3 songs were so good that I didn't even get to the 4th one with Bon Iver, unless it was a rare occasion that it would skip past, and I would fail to go back and listen to the first 3 songs over and over. So it's very rare that an album strikes me with songs that are so good that I don't even get to the second half of the album because the first third is so good. So that's my take on that Folklore album, as well as the Long Pond studio sessions. And I recently sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I know it's a big time commitment, but I'm going to do the Eras tour. So I sat down and I watched, and it took me multiple settings to watch it, but I did watch the entire Eras tour on Disney. And it was just a phenomenal depiction of what lights and showmanship and technology and all that stuff can do. It was just amazing. That alone is worth going to see. I have listened to part of the Spotify This Is Taylor Swift playlist, but I'm only about halfway through, and that was before this latest album that came out. So I'm sure it's about 12 hours now. So I'm not an expert on Taylor Swift's music, just some of the lines that I've heard in the songwriting, and what I do like best about her songwriting, and this was evident when I would watch this Eras tour, is just song after song after song after song after song. She just has this pentameter, almost like a Shakespearean pentameter, and as a drummer, I hear the da-da-da-da-da-da-da, that's what I hear when I hear lyrics. She's got a pentameter to all of her songs that catches you whether or not you want. It makes you dance whether or not you want to. And she's just absolutely phenomenal at that. I've never seen anybody with a craft that's that good at doing that. And it was just a phenomenal experience to watch that show. And I think it's probably the best concert footage show that I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's just the magnitude of having, I don't know, something like 80,000 people in Los Angeles all screaming along. And it was amazing when they would go to the crowd shots. Usually when I see live footage, they go to the crowd shots and the crowd is getting the lyrics wrong. And I didn't see a single lyric wrong when they went to the crowd shots with Taylor Swift. People know and love her on a level that is comparable, if not dwarfs, what the Beatles have done in music. And by no means am I discrediting the Beatles. I think that they're probably still the most important group in the history of history. But Taylor Swift has taken on a new generation and created essentially Beatlemania amongst the youth, and not even so much the youth, even older folks like myself. So I just wanted to say, to sum this up, she's phenomenal. It's undeniable. And I think that if you still aren't on the Taylor Swift bandwagon, it's time to do some of your own research, and it's time to reconsider. So this is Andrew Jant from Trap Kit signing off. Thank you all very much. We'll catch you on the next video, and stay golden.